I'm your host, Juicy, and thank you for joining us here at Juicyfroot Productions. This show is about filmmaking, screenwriting, and music involved in the movie-making process. So sit back and enjoy the ride. In this episode, we're going to discuss pre-production. We're going to look at each step in order to get ready for production. But before we do that, make sure you like, share, and comment on the video. Let us know what you thought about this episode and what you think might make great content for future episodes. So stay tuned. Alright, so pre-production. We're going to look at scripts, we're going to look at location scouting, cast attachments, scheduling, and budget. So for scripts, the first thing you want to do is actually go ahead and search for a script that you want to go ahead and produce. You want to make sure that you can acquire the rights to that script, or maybe you're trying to do an adaptation to a book or some other media. And then you want to look at what kind of writers do you have currently that you can approach to update the script as it goes on if you're not going to use the original writers. Location scouting is where you're going to be searching for locations that match your script, and you want to make sure that you have all the permits and permissions in order to film there. Now, I said before that some filmmakers were able to bypass that or do quick shots and then they're on to the next thing. So searching for locations, you have a lot of things to think about. When you're doing that, you're thinking about the elevation, of course. You're thinking about location to where most of the production pieces are going to be at, like casting and directing and all that. And then weather, is the weather going to be an issue when you're filming? And then you want to look at permits and permissions. And sometimes you can just go and ask if it's a private property, and sometimes they may let you, sometimes they won't. So if you can't film there, then go ahead and move on to the next location. So that means you may have one main location or the first, preference of a location, and then you're going to have maybe backups. Cast attachments are going to be including directors and actors, and first thing you want to do is go ahead and do a casting search. Understand that the more the actor is an A-list or top shelf actor, the more you're going to pay. So if you know that this script is going to be generating some interest from studios or other people because of the actors that you're going to try to forecast that you're going to attach to your project, that's something you may consider. So you may have to go with B-list, C-list, even down to the D-list. And that doesn't mean that they're bad actors, it just means that maybe they're just, green. Scheduling is you're going to take the whole shoot time that you think you're going to be in production, and you're going to make sure that for each location you have the timing set right, because when you're filming, you're not necessarily going to be filming in a chronological order according to the script. You may take certain scenes and film them first and then others later. And of course, this all depends on the cast and crew availability. If they're not available, try to have some backups in case, and you may have to have contracts saying that it may not go through, but it's a standby. And then budgeting is going to include a lot of things, mostly for all of the production, whether it's pre, post, or actual shooting production. If you're going to be purchasing anything, props, whatever the case may be, the script, you're going to include that cost, any kind of material for shooting like cars or whatnot, hardware, all that stuff, lights. And then you're going to include the cost for your crew and actors. It would be a good idea to get a full production budget laid out so that you can understand how much money is going to what part of the production, whether it be pre or set production or post-production. Now understand that with post-production, you don't want to limit that with the budget and think that, everything will be saved in post. Well, if you're thinking with that mindset, you're going to have to pay for that. And it may not come out the way that you want it. So it's best to have a production shoot that is actually what you need. And then there's marketing. Of course, you got posters, you got shoots, you got all kinds of interviews and all this other stuff out in the media. And then, of course, distribution. So distribution and marketing can be kind of on hold at this point, but it would be a good idea to ballpark those things, find out what it will cost you to do those things. So if you've done all these things and you've done it well, then you should be ready for production. So that's going to include making sure that you got all your cast and crew and your director, make sure that you have all the permits and everybody has a schedule or call sheet so they understand when they got to show up and what time and what are they going to be doing or how they're going to be dressed. Hey, if you like this episode of Filmmaking and More, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know every time I drop a new video. We'd love to have you join the Filmmaking and More family. Go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The links are in the description box below. The support that you provide Juicyfroot Productions gives us the resources and access we need to keep bringing you content like this. For us here at Juicyfroot Productions and Robb Entertainment Corporation, this brings us to the end of another great episode of Filmmaking and More. I'm your host, Juicy, and I want to thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Gotta take you by the hand, oh yeah, and lead you to that brother's love.